here's the deal. Here's how you do the cottage. Okay. What we do is we put the cottage in a trust. Yeah, a trust. You've heard about those before, right? But that's what you do. You need to break this life cycle, right? So when the kid is in his 20s or early 30s and he's got all these bills and it's terrible, right? You need to get over that hump because guess what? If you hadn't had the cottage, they'd figure a way. Okay. It's not your job to rescue them. It's your job to take the long view, the long view. Okay. You have got the perspective, right? You own the cottage. You bought it in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, whenever. You bought it when it was still possible to buy. You did that. That's good. Let's not blow it. Okay. Number one, you want to protect it from long-term care. Okay, that's part of for us, that's par for the course, right? So we're not going to lose it to the nursing home. We're not going to do that. All right. But then we're not going to make the follow-on mistake, the follow-on blunder, the follow-on disaster of putting all the kids' names on the damn thing. We're not going to do that. And we're not going to turn it into the piggy bank. What's the deal with piggy banks, right? You got to smash them to get the money inside. Well, kids at certain points in their life, they're more than willing to smash the piggy bank. They're more than willing to smash the cottage because they feel like they need the money. Is any of this strange to you? No, of course not. You know this. You already know this. This is how they are. Okay, got it. And what we want to do is we want to avoid that regret that sets in later when the cottage isn't around anymore. Okay. So number one, we're not going to lose it to stupid things like nursing home. We're not going to lose it to long-term care. That's job one. Okay. Accomplished. That's we do all the time anyway. But the key with the cottage is you're not just, because people say, I don't care. Just let the kids do whatever they want. I don't think so. Especially not with people. You built the thing, you maintained the thing. It's a special place. There's meaning to it. Now, if you don't feel that way about your cottage, God bless you. Okay, fine. Let them blow it. I don't care. But my my experience has been people don't generally feel that way. And I say cottage, but it's also the hunting cabin, the hobby farm, the whatever. But we got the cottage shows coming up. That's what I'm talking about. The point is, there's meaning there. There's meaning to it. There's purpose in it. Okay? All right? Let's not sacrifice long-term purpose for short-term gratification. The way you do that, you put the cottage in the trust and you let the trust do an LLC if they want to, which we recommend. But now the rule is that the family members can use the cottage, right? But there's no entitlement to it. You get it? There's no entitlement. They could use it, possibly. It's available to them, right? But they've got to pay what it actually costs. So there's a budget, sinking funds, the whole 9 yards to maintaining the cottage. And then you work it out with the family members who gets what, do a lottery. There's all kinds of different ways of allocating the use of the thing. But the point is, we we always budget for a cleaning fee too. So if you're going to use it for a week, you got to pay for what it costs. It's just like you going to Yellowstone. It ain't free to go to Yellowstone. Go to the Porcupine Mountains up there. You know what I mean? That isn't free. Go to the National Seashore. It's not free. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we have it here. So you don't have to go out and buy it, which you never could do. Right? You couldn't buy it. But it's not free to use it because there are actually expenses involved. All right, great. So let's pay what it actually costs. Now, here's the other thing. One of the things we found, observed, is that when you've done this, right, and which I'm doing with my brothers incidentally on a property, we own the thing, but then we rent it out so that we don't have the expense of it, except for when we want to use it. All right. So you get Airbnb and Vrbo and all the rest of it. Look, whack those tourists hard. They don't have a cottage in their family. I feel sorry for them, but you can let them use yours at the market rate. And now you get the taxes paid. And here's the other thing. If you do this correctly, which you should, of course, do it correctly, you're not going to uncap the property tax value either. All right. Because under Michigan law now, this is why people are doing the joint tenancies, which was a bad reason for doing them, but they were doing it in order not to jack the tax rate up when somebody died and it transferred. They were trying to avoid the transfer. Okay. Well, now that's all been settled down, been settled down now for years. Okay. It takes a long time for this information to get out, but we do our best. Anyway, the point is that because you've got family members who are inheriting it, even though they're getting it through the trust, even though they're getting it through the trust, right? We're still not uncapping the taxable value. So we've got, gosh, any number of clients who they got mom and dad's cottage. If they had to pay at the current value of the property, they'd have to sell it. They can't even afford, get this, they can't even afford to pay the taxes. Okay. But because there was some foresightedness, farsighted, looking forward to the future to, hey, I'm not trying to transfer this asset to the kid. There's a million ways to do that. I want to provide an opportunity through the generations for something that's irreplaceable. That cottage is not replaceable. They can't afford it. You know that. They're not going to do it. But you did it. You already did it. And when you're done with it, why not do it? Why not pass it on to the kids in such a way that you keep the promise of the cottage? It'll be there for your great, great, great grandkids when they're little kids. And when they're too cool to go there, well, you'll get over it because you know that even when they're dire straits, right? Dire straits and I would have sold my share. I wish I could sell this, but well, look, they can go for a weekend. They go for a weekend, and it'll be a lot less expensive than renting a place. They still have to pay the cost, but it'd be a lot less expensive, right? Because why? Because now you're only paying the cost. There's no profit involved. And grandma, grandpa, great grandma, great grandpa set that up also many years ago. That's the point. And then they'll be one of the families, the old families at the lake that's had the thing in the family forever. Okay. And your great grandkids will meet up with your friends' great grandkids, and they'll all talk about how great it was that this was set up for them many long years ago. That's the payoff. Okay. Because my experience is that it's unusual for people to get the cottage, right, and not become attached to the place. I mean, think about what people do. They clear out on Friday afternoon. They're up to the cottage. They're doing all the work on it becomes a thing. It's a almost like farming. Farming is a lifestyle choice, right? Well, the whole cottage thing becomes that way. And it is important for people, for all kinds of people. We at one of these charity auctions, we got a house up on I don't know where it was. M22, over there. And we're walking down the beach, and well, who do you think we see? But and I'm looking at this, there's a Woody station wagon there. And this guy comes over, and the guy from Tool Time, what's his name? The TV guy. He did Buzz Lightyear. That guy, the actor guy. Well, anyway, he turns out to be a very nice guy, and he's got a cottage on this on the lake over there. My point is that it's all kinds of folks like that kind of thing, right? And you don't have to be a movie star, TV star, whatever the hell, in order to perpetuate that. You can do that through your family. You can make it happen like everything else.